Hello, and welcome to About the Albums for the album Thoughts from Beyond the Mind, originally released in August of 2012. This one actually came out, as you know, the other one was 2009, so this was actually something that I waited a while to do. I was actually so ashamed of On the Hill initially that I just didn't really record any other, things with me singing songs. That's what they'd be called, songs with me singing, for years. And then I kind of got the itch to try to do it again. And Thoughts from Beyond the Mind is a little different too because it's very short. I just did a few songs. They're pretty simple, and I actually did something kind of weird with them where I kind of like basically I tried to use these things where most of the songs had instruments tied to the like the musical instruments tied to like the drum tracks, because each of these like has certain things. I don't know if you can see from back there, but each of these has like symbols on them up until like a certain point or whatever, and so these are all drum things. And so if you do the layer option on here, and you have like one of these be right now it's got like a piano thing, like a, I don't know if you can hear that. Let's say I do layer. And I just change the layer to like a drum track. And now it just plays that on top of it. So I kind of went with that to try and make my songs sound neat and also work with the beats. It's kind of an interesting way to make a song. And then I kind of sang over a few of them. So that was kind of the general idea, and repeating a few of the instruments on it. There's not a whole lot else to say, I guess, there, really. But the only other thing I want to add quick is that I'm trying to kind of split the difference here. I do really like, about the albums thing in general, I'm liking the light, just the singular light source thing, the way it kind of makes this all look. I kind of like that, and getting the keyboard in the shot, I don't know, it's kind of nice, and it seems like it sounds a little better if I'm holding the mic and it's a bit closer to my face. We seem to get a little less background noise, and we just have to be careful not to move around too much, because then you hear the chord noises and stuff. And hopefully everything looks and sounds okay. I'm hoping to kind of make this the look of About the Albums, which is mostly about me talking about songs anyway, so the look doesn't really matter that much, but I'd like it to look nice if I can. I'm working on it. We're trying to make the channel nice for all you folks at home. And let's just get to the first song already, because, I mean, I've been yammering for a while. In the time of seeing. In the Time of Seeing was a pretty basic starter thing where I was kind of trying to slightly build a little bit. You can tell I've got the instruments, the drums on these synth strings, and I kind of use those a few times on here, I believe. And it doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's just kind of the whole thing. Even with the title, you can notice is that it's pretty basic kind of stuff. And it's supposed to be like thought-provoking. Like, basically these are thoughts that you can't really comprehend very well because they're from beyond your mind. They're outside of the realm of your ability to understand them. So it was kind of a weird thing playing off of that. And so In the Time of Seeing is supposed to be like seeing that. Also kind of reminded me of like maybe like an old, like, I don't know, like Egyptian god feel a little bit, where it's like, back in the time of seeing, when this happened, like, I don't know, something like that, like some kind of tale that happens. But it's a neat little song, and I thought it was a neat little way to start a neat little album. So that should feel feel. That should fill my quota for the words neat and little here. That doesn't mean I won't say them more. It just means that I don't have to say them more. I won't get docked pay. When I say pay, I'm lying. Thoughts from beyond the mind, from beyond the mind, from beyond the mind. Thoughts from beyond the mind, from beyond the mind, from beyond the mind. Thoughts from Beyond the Mind is the titular track from Thoughts from Beyond the Mind. That's why it's the... Anyway, this is one where I think I focus a little more on, it's still the synth tone and the, with the drums on top of it, but it's one where I think I focused a little more on the music part, like what notes I was going to be hitting, and less so on making the beat work with it. As obviously I still was making choices of I still want the beat to kind of go along with it too and make sense with the instruments that are being hit. But there are some parts of it, especially where you can tell that I'm hitting it for the notes, not necessarily for whatever percussion hit tones are there. And so it creates kind of an interesting vibe to it that way, even though there's not a whole lot of thought put into that, which is, kind of funny considering this is called Thoughts from Beyond the Mind. So maybe those thoughts came to me from beyond my mind. But more than likely, I just got lucky with my weird experiment of making music. Also, I didn't sing a whole lot here. I sang more here than one line, but it was still the same line repeated. And, I definitely was still pretty, mic shy. I didn't really want to, say, I guess I didn't feel real confident in my ability to sing. It just felt like I hadn't really been able to do it very well for a long time, and, I think, trying to do stuff on my own, hitting puberty and, having my voice drastically change since I tried singing before, I never really felt like I could do it the same way I used to. And then, even in choir, to be fair, I was only in choir when it was, required we did that, or band, and choir didn't make me have to pay for an instrument, so I was I want to do that. But even in there, granted, I'm not, I'm not a good choral voice either, but I didn't get great grades in that, and I don't know, I've never felt real confident, in my voice. I'm better at it now. I think I've kind of tuned it a bit more. I'm better at working with what I can do rather than trying to stretch it to things I really don't feel like I can do, and that's helpful. But here I'm still kind of early on, and I don't quite have it down yet. So it's a step in the right direction. We're getting there, and the sound quality, because it's through my camera instead of on a tape, much better. Was much easier to clean up on here too. So it's pretty good. I've heard a lot worse, because I've heard it from the tapes, so. Killipilox, Killipilox, change the doors, change the locks. Killipilox, Killipilox, beating the master of clocks. Killipilox, sounds weird, I realize. The whole song's a little nonsensical. It's one where I actually was trying to come up with, more lyrics to sing, and trying to sing it kind of in a way that was more interesting. But still a lot of focus on, a cool sounding song. And again, the mix of trying to focus on what sounds good for, the percussion hits and beats, plus what sounds good for, those synth tones. So it's pretty simple, but just kind of interesting the way it came out. A lot of it is kind of nonsense, but it's not complete nonsense, because I tried to kind of have a certain feel to it still, rather than just being the lyrics are whatever. I wanted the lyrics to still be cool. Killipilox isn't anything. The middle part and the breakdown is kind of just weird, but I don't know, something about change the doors, change the locks, and beating the master of clocks. I thought both sounded really cool. So it wasn't totally just I'll just put whatever because it rhymes. It was I'm gonna try to make this sound cool and rhyme. And if that's not how you make a song, then I don't know how to make a song. So clearly I don't. Also, for any of you still in the pool on this episode, the loose button still there. Didn't fall off yet, so sorry. Bets are still on. Find schools beneath the head. There you find everything. Find the find. Focus a little more on it was more normal song structure, I guess. But like, I actually didn't use, some of those other like instruments. Like basically, like you can hear the drums. It's still the same drum set. I don't have it like layered with the music the same way, but it's the same set of drums. So I didn't really stray from the instrument set that I was using, and it's just like those whatever drums are playing notes with that set. So I kind of played with the notes that they kind of like gave you with those select drums, and made kind of a quieter song. I thought it was kind of neat. Well, there, the neat thing again, and it was like just the repeated thing of find the skulls beneath the head. There you'll find everything. Kind of the idea of like your brain is in your skull, and that's where all your thoughts are. So it was kind of like going around that. So it just kind of sounds interesting and kind of spooky the way it's done. So I like it the way it came out. And like at the end, I think you can kind of hear it in there. I'm very quietly like whispering like find a bunch of times. And the reason it's like that is because I didn't know if I wanted that to be audible or not. I couldn't really decide, so like it's one of those where I think if you're not listening for it, you wouldn't necessarily hear it, but if you know it's there, you probably will be like, oh, I definitely hear it. So that's a little tidbit, bit of a tid for you on that one. And also later, it kind of inspired a few other songs that use a similar kind of that drum set with like little like drum things and the limited notes they can give you, plus other instruments and things to go with those. I feel like there are a number of songs I've done since then that kind of are inspired by that, and I'm sure we'll get to those as About the Albums continues. But for now, let's continue to the next song. Oh, amazing segue, brilliant segue. You can't even buy segways like that in stores because usually they're just the scooter things when you buy them there. Paint all over. Paint is sadly not about the program MS Paint. It is about just the general concept of paint, like painting things, like actual paint. And actually, it's a really simple, it's really simple song-wise. And the thing about it was also that, for this one, I didn't write down any lyrics. I just knew I was going to sing paint and then sort of kind of have stuff come to me. So I just kind of ad-libbed the whole thing, an improv song. And that's usually not a great idea, but I did it. And I've done it numerous times since. But, yeah, this is another example of that. And the only thing I think coming back to this that I still I've noticed every time is that, which I do a lot with just in speaking in general too, but I don't pronounce the T a whole lot, like on all of the times I say paint. It's not super obvious I'm pronouncing the T. It's very soft T. So sometimes it just sounds like I'm saying pain. I'm meaning to say paint. It's just a very soft T. So, that was really the only extra tidbit about it. It was a weird weird vibe, weird, like, little kid painting their room vibe. But hopefully that's the vibe you got, and not something more sinister. Or whatever. Never ending word. Never ends, never ends, never ends, never ends. No! Never ending word. Kind of breaks form here. It doesn't have. I don't even know if it's the same drum set on there. I don't think it is. It uses a weird applause sound effect in the beginning. It's using a guitar tone. And the stuff isn't overlapping in the same way. It's not using like the layered music and drum thing. So I don't really remember what my thought process was for making this and putting it on here. I just remember making it around the same time, thinking it sounded cool and doing it. So I don't know. It just kind of ended up in the same place, and I wouldn't say I regret it. But it just does seem weirdly out of place, even though it is pretty cool. And the concept, of course, is very simple. It's just about a word that never ends. It's rather self-explanatory. But I explained it anyway because that's what you're supposed to do in a series where you're explaining songs. So I did it. Only Red Tuesday. Fast ran. Only Red Tuesday. Red fan. Only Rat Tuesday. Was just kind of the words that came into my head on this one. We're back to the whole, the thing I was doing for most of the album with the synth strings and layered on the drum track, that thing. And this one I always thought was really catchy. In fact, it was so catchy that later on, which we'll get to on the album Be Weird, Be Happy, I actually redid the song with other instruments, just like a normal song, to try and make it even better. Because I just thought it came out really catchy, even though a lot of this was just like, make stuff rhyme. And then put Only Rat Tuesday between it. There's not really any significance to this. It's just kind of something that came into my head, and it's like, that sounds neat. I liked it, and it came off a lot catchier than I would have expected. So that's Only Rat Tuesday, and really that's the album for you. That was the last song. It's a short one, 7 songs. But I still I guess I still kind of have a fondness for this because this is what got me back into making music again, where I was actually singing on it, which I hadn't done for such a long time. So it's nice for that. And I don't know, hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to it and hearing it, and it's neat to come back and be like, I grew, and some of the stuff was okay, and some of it wasn't. And this overall, I think, is an okay little thing that I threw out there. Neat little thing. There we go. But, yeah, that's Thoughts from Beyond the Mind. And, well, I only ramped up from there, so, get ready for more of me figuring it all out in about the albums. And on the album, mostly on the albums themselves, but, I don't know. That's all I had. So thanks for showing up and watching and listening. Hopefully it all sounds good, it looks good. Hopefully the camera's focusing well enough. Taking lots of steps to make something so simple come off okay. But I'll probably stop talking about it since I have this whole setup here. It seems pretty good this way. Holding this light kind of there. Keyboard, camera. Simple, but it should be less noticeable going forward because I'll probably stop bringing it up so much. Thanks for seeing what the albums are about. Alright. So the original cover art for Thoughts from Beyond the Mind was pretty much like this, except that it didn't have any of the text. It was done in the Windows 7 version of MS Paint, because it has that streaky, brush tool to make the lines like that, which I did think looked kind of neat. Even if a lot of other features in that version of Paint I wasn't real fond of. But so when I added this in with the Windows 10 version of Paint, I kind of just looked for a neat font, and then I tried to squish this in there so these would fit. And also in the process, I figured I would connect some of the lines with the letters to make it look kind of interesting. Because it just makes sense to have the name of the album and my name on the covers of them most of the time. So that's really all I did for this one. Kind of a lame bonus, but it was very minimalistic with like the white background. Figure keep it really basic. We've got black and then the two grays that you get for standard ones. Then I put in the blue, yellow, and red primary color, basic colors. I do that a lot because they're just easy to throw out there. And I like them. And visually it just doesn't really mean anything unless it means something to you, in which case then it does. I'm good at talking. Well, these bonus clips aren't as interesting as I thought they'd be. I'm sorry.